This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, fine, we'll start. So, good evening and good day to everyone, and thanks for joining today's session. Let me present my screen, and please, if anyone can confirm when my screen is visible,
Not visible.
not visible.
Hello.
Uh, yeah, I'm sharing it again. Mm, yeah, please confirm. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So, yesterday we were here on the model attribute creating. So another two slides are remaining in this presentation. I'll quickly walk through this and then we will be going on the actual topic that we are going to discuss today. And if you see, basically, here the different types of attributes of a model. So this can be a button, a link, a radio button, or a text box. And how we are going to identify, by what property we are going to identify, we'll be looking that forward. So these are some of the example which will make your elements or an attribute model attributes a unique, like ID, tag, class name, inner text, HTML. So I would not waste too much of time in this slide because like what is test cases? Many of you are already from a testing background. So I assume that everyone know what are test scenarios, test cases, test steps, and um, during our session when we are building the test cases, right? So you'll be getting to know um, what is the test cases. But if anyone want exact definition, they can say like it is a sequence of action that you want to perform for your application under test or the system which you're testing. And in that test cases you will have certain number of test step for which you will define a values which will construct your whole test cases or test scenarios. So how we are going to do it in Tosca? For example, you have something to register and you have scanned the module like a link, text button, radio button, everything. So you're going to scan, drag and drop, build your things, give your value over here, then define what you want to do, the action mode, what is the data type it contains, password, string, or there are other type of data which we will be seeing it. So this is how you are going to build your test cases. Uh, this is just an image of the replica of Tosa commander I have taken and I have put here. So I just want to, I will be showing this once we are in the tool, but I just wanted to show here what is the structure in Tosca. So if you see this blue color arrow, circle arrow, wherever you have this is something your test cases. So this represent if you want to create a test cases. So there'll be a blue color arrow over there and that represent your test cases. And suppose you have a test case registered to a web shop, and now you're going to follow some steps like, so this will be in this format. If you can see double arrow mark here, right, in a circle. So this will be in this format, and then you'll have a test type value where you can define a value. So we will look into this, but since this was pending, I'm showing you. And let me quickly go to today's topic. So basically we are going to discuss discussing all 17 would not be possible today, but we will try to cover how much we can cover. So in today's session, right, we will see the architecture, um, brief about Tosca architecture, and the different roles in Tosca. So when you're going into an industry and you're applying for a job or you're working in a team, so what are the different role in a Tosca that market is expecting from you, and what are their roles and responsibility? We'll see in a brief. Then we will see how to handle what are different um, data handling techniques in Tosca and different license in Tosca. how when you are working in an environment, right? So how company hosts their license in different environment and different workspaces in Tosca. Also, we'll be seeing what is system requirement in Tosca and followed by SAP, the chunk of SAP if you see over here. So for the next session, right? Before start of the next session, I'd request everyone to reach out to Shravani or the institute and get the Tosca and SAP installed. Get all the access and license what you have, so that we can have practical hands-on session from next week onwards. Um, so yeah, so first let me come about architecture. So in Tosca architect, right? I think before I move on to this slide, I think everybody is aware of Tosca Commander, where we build and develop the test cases. But there are some other thing also going on the background, which I want to show you. So the tool Commander, what you're working, right? It's just a front end system for you to develop the test cases, for you to run the test cases, and to handle the data from there. But there are a lot of things that goes in the background. So if I come quickly over here, so not sure if I can maximize this screen. And when give me a moment. Yeah, I think this would be. Please let me know if this is visible. Otherwise, I will try to zoom a little bit more over here. Is this image clear? Can anyone confirm?
Yes,
Hello.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah. So whatever you see here, right? We will be working over here. Okay. So I mean, there are so many things over here. You don't have to understand everything. You don't have to know about each and everything. But just in a general cases, you are aware that not this is not only about Tosca Commander. There are many things in a backend which happens, and we are going to talk about how your license is hosted, different types of licenses, what I was talking about. So we'll be saying this. So basically, you whatever you see here, right, in whatever we will be using, our trainings, what will be going on, will be basically on Tosca Commander. And then if you see here something, it is called Tosca Connect, which is used to connect, uh, integrate your application with ALM or any other tool which you have, right? Application lifecycle management. So this Tosca Connect helps you to do that. If any company is looking for that, then they go with this. And if you see something here called 80443 5000 something over here, right? These are nothing but your port. With this port, right, 80443, this is the port which sends and receives the communication between the different tools among Tosca or any third party tools, whatever you are having. So here, if you see, you have in within Commander, right, you have something called T-box. So we will be using this T-box modules, that is something standard modules in Tosca. So we'll be using to build our test cases. We'll be walking through few of the T-box module also, while our test cases are there. And then you can integrate with SAP Solution Manager to manage your test cases and other things, whatever you want. There is something elastic execution grid. I am not sure how many of you know this, but if you want to again do some integration, right, DevOps concept, you'll be going and doing with these things. But however, this is the front end system what you'll be having in Tosca Commander. and different authentication. What you see right here, HTTPS, ODBC, all these things are supported over here. And then you have you to run this Tosca, obviously you need a license. So basically this license will be somewhere, it may be hosted in a cloud, or the other type is it can be hosted on a premise. So basically whoever is Tosca admin right in your organization, they will be managing this particular thing, the license tier system. So I will walk you through this when we install Tosca server right in your Windows laptop. So basic, what are the basic things, like what is an basic admin job, like creating a group, creating a roles for that particular user, if it is an admin, if it is just a user, or how they are managing the license, right? So basically some overview I will give you so that you are aware of that. And cloud hosted will be hosted on a Tricentis server. On premise it will be on the your own server which you are connecting, and you will be totally responsible for managing those things. Now something, if you're developing something, if you are building some test cases, storing something, obviously we need to store somewhere, somewhere to that, right? So basically we have some database, and we will see which are the different database that is required, that is there in Tosca. So it has something like Tricentis common repository. So and other database also, if you're having your own database, right, any SQL or anything, it can connect with that also. Now next thing is like, you are having a commander and you want to do parallel execution. So you have 10 test cases and you just want to distribute those test cases. So I was talking something about dex. So this commander will also be connected with a dex where you perform your multiple execution. How do you perform? With the help of agent machine. Then something, there is a vision AI, exploratory testing, all these things will be in the agent machine which will be configured. So hope these blocks are getting clear to you, though initially it may look complicated to you. Then this is something what a Tosca server will be having in a whole, which will be again managed by your company admins, like whatever the screenshot we are taking in Tosca, right? All those things, all the file services will be there. If you want any REST API services, so these are again a very high level thing. But if you really want to dig into this, you have to become an architect, and you have to do some practicals going forward in your career. And I was saying, right, you can also integrate CI/CD pipeline. So Tosca has come up with their own integration tool, continuous integration, that is called Tosca CI. So it is also an execution file, so you can trigger an execution from here also, something from here. So basically this is just an overview. uh, what I'm trying to say is we work over here, but there are a lot of things in the background which runs and support this commander. And
Great.
yeah, please tell.
Uh,
Hello.
Hey, Tanvi. I saw that there is SAP has been called out. Sorry, in your screen, can you? Yeah, SAP has called out into below the Tosca server as well as in the under the Tosca commander, both SAP and E2G. What does it mean? Are they calling SAP in the commander, or are they calling below the Tosca server?
No, no, this is not calling of SAP. This is here, if you see, right, how they are integrating with Qtest. Okay, how they are integrating with SAP Solution Manager, and all these things are like a different system. These are your external system out of Tosca Commander, I would say. Qtest is a Tricentis product, but others are not, right? So they are integrating this. So if you want an end-to-end thing, right, some companies what they do is like, they will already be having a Qtest. Okay, so they will be managing their test cases, test suites, all those things in a Qtest. So what they want is they want to trigger the execution from a Qtest, and that execution should go all over to the TOSA commander and pick that test cases, then schedule the execution in Dex machine. So obviously you need to have a proper integration, right? So again, to do everything right, to all this integration is not a one-person job. There is a whole lot of backend team, but it is not calling SAP. Nowhere it is calling SAP. It is integrating. It is just how in a high level architect, right? Very, very high level. That is what I am trying to show here.
Thank you.
Okay, moving forward. Yeah, so we saw what is different architects, like the Tosca architecture. Now, if anybody already working, uh, I saw that a few of them are saying like they're already working in Tosca, or they wanted to improve their knowledge. Can anyone say like what is the basic role in Tosca, in just very short, if anybody can say?
Tosca user,
Yeah, Tosca user. Okay,
Tosca admin,
great. What is your name?
Dhaval.
Okay,
Then Tosca having third role. This is I forgot.
good, good, very good. So you are almost right. You can say Tosca user, Tosca admin, or just to classify in a little more terms of Tosca, right? So there are actually two role. Basically, in industry, what you will find is, according to the job, I'm saying what job you'll be performing, right? Not designation can be different. You can be a lead in automation. You can be integration engineer in that. You can be a you can be integrating DevOps tool with Tosca, anything. But basically, you'll be having Tosca automation specialist. You will be either an automation specialist, or you'll be either a Tosca architecture. So please excuse me. So now, what will be the job of automation specialist? What is the expectation from him? So basically, automation specialist, right? He will be responsible for model creation, test case creation, and test data specialist. Okay, test data specialist. Also, in general, as an automation engineer role, if I say, this person will be called more into automation engineer. And the main role of this person will be developing the test cases, maintaining the test cases, and execution. So it can be developing, I will write in short, maintenance and execution. So if you're going for any interview, and if somebody asks what is your role in the automation tool, and if you're not aware, then you should tell you were responsible. I would request if anybody can, okay, great. Mm, yeah. So in an interview, somebody asked you, right? What was your role in your previous company, or what did you do? So your sole responsibility to develop the test cases, do any kind of maintenance regarding to those test cases that you have developed, and perform the execution during your release cycle. It can be anything like a regression, smoke. We will come to that, or a UAT, whatever it is. So you are responsible for developing, maintaining, and execution of your test cases during this cycle, and you are responsible for creating module, and then build test case creation with that module, and also handle the data with that particular module. So this should be your answer. You can add, subtract, whatever with your project, something whatever you want to do, you can go ahead and do that. But if I come to Tosca architecture, somebody who is having more experience and they want to deep dive a little bit into this. So what does Tosca architect does? Okay, so basically he does user management. They develop test cases, no doubt. They help their juniors to overcome any hurdle, any problems, whatever they have, or develop any complex scenarios, test cases, what they have, right? They also do that. But apart from that, right, they will have something called admin access. Okay, so somebody was saying, right, Tosca admin. So they will be having an access of admin, and also they'll be, in some cases, they will be leading the test team, and they will be. Please give me a moment. I will be right back. Yeah, sorry. So where I was, yes. So they'll be leading a team, they'll be planning, they'll be doing lots of planning, where how a particular test case should develop, right, how much time it is going to consume to create a particular module, to define the complexity, to define the priority of a test cases, to calculate from the finance point of view also, right, to calculate the resource count for that particular all those things. So when you're doing a certification of a Tosca architecture, right, pretty much first 2 3 sessions of that particular thing, right, will be based on this only. So how you will be doing everything. If you're working for your customer, how do you give an estimation to them? So all those things will be there. But apart from that, all those things, there'll be something called user management. I will just write sorter. So user management, they'll be doing the user management, like creating a user and adding it to the Tosca group. And then they'll be also responsible for license management and uh, database management, and others I will just I will not type, I'll just write it. They'll be also responsible for managing the workspaces, creating the workspaces, creating the user group. Okay. And if there is any upgrade has come, right, like Tosca upgrade has come from 2023 to 2024 or 2025, and if a company decide to migrate or upgrade their, instead of migrate, like let me use upgrade the system to a higher version, so what is the process that they want to follow? So all those things, developing any CI/CD pipeline. Okay. And any other custom control which you want in Tosca, right, I'll be showing you. So you should have an admin access to make that. So apart from developing a test cases, helping the team members, defining the priorities, and doing the project estimation, cost estimation, resource estimation, all those things, you see, it's already a kind of managerial role or a lead role or a senior role in the industry. So if you are along with your development, right, if you're doing all these things, you can call yourself as a Tosca architecture. Plus you should have basic knowledge about at least one or two things, like how do you configure DEX for an AOS. Configuring AOS is something called automation object services. So there's something called without AOS and AOS. So how do you configure DEX? Basically, when your company is purchasing a Tosca and they want to go for a DEX, right? Tricentis comes and help. But having knowledge on those particular things like CI/CD, integration between Qtest and Tosca, integration between some other tool like Jenkins, DevOps, basics, or knowing about Tosca CI pipeline. So all these things, right, will help you in the end of the day to hmm, go forward in your career. So these are the basic role. I hope everybody has clarity what industry expect um um from an engineer. If that is
Yeah, thank
so,
you.
yes, thanks for your confirmation. Now we will see how do we handle data. Okay. So if anybody can say me, right, like you can just ignore the Tosca word in this line number 3, and you can just tell me if you know anything about how do you handle data in a general, uh, what is the approach, instead of saying method to handle data, right, I would like to call it as different approach of test data, test cases. Okay, so what if you are developing a test cases, so what would be your approach of developing that test cases? And I'll also say what method Tosca uses. So basically, right, fine, that's fine. So method to handle data in Tosca. Sometimes they ask this type of questions in an interview. So just to take test your knowledge, what do you know? So there are two types: test case design first approach. Okay, and then there is a test case first approach. Okay, so in this, right, if I come to this, because this is the one which we will also be using. So here you will not have any idea of the test cases, okay, the number of test cases. So if you have something like you are not sure how many number of test cases you're going to generate, or the combination of a test case that you want to going to generate. So you're having no idea about that, okay, in test case first approach. But in test case design approach, right, you already know the number of fixed test cases. Okay, so both, actually both we can do it, both we can handle in Tosca. So I would just give a short example, instead of making it little complex, right? I will just give a short example. Let's say you have a positive flow. Okay, so you have a positive flow, and you know the data of your test cases, that if a particular test cases want to run in this environment, I want to utilize this data, and pretty much it is straightforward data, and I'm just gonna run with this. So that is test case design approach. Okay, sorry, I just made mistake. And in test case first approach, right, you're not sure about the data. Okay, you're not sure about the number of test cases what you want to, so you're going to create a test case first, and then keep adding the data to this. Okay, so you can handle with tds also, test data services. You can, if you have a 1000 line item of data, right, and you want to test it for n number of time, so you can follow this approach. So these are the two different approach which we handle data in Tosca. And how we are handling data in Tosca in a large, right, we will discuss going forward. Okay, so now I want to talk about different license version. So I'll probably move little quicker, because these topics are just for you to know. It is, if you're knowing, it is better. Before starting of the actual session, right, I want to give some introduction about SAP also. So um, yeah, so there are two different type of license. I think I already told you that one is through cloud hosted and on-premise license server. I just skip this part, and now we will see like different workspace in Tosca. Okay, so let me actually go to the tool and close this workspace. Can I know anyone name from this session? Okay, I'll take Rohit. So just give me some time. So meanwhile, this is closing, right? Let me explain the system requirement. Okay, so Tosca can run if you're having whatever system I'm going to mention, right? So okay, let me come over here. I'll come to the requirement again. So if you see, whenever you open a Tosca, right, if you have valid license, you'll get this screen. With this, you'll have an option called create new. Once you click on this create new, right? So let me bring it here. And if you see here, this is what I was talking about. You'll have a different type of repository. So if you see here, if first of all, what are the different workspaces in Tosca? So you have a single user workspace and you have a multi-user workspace. In single user workspace, right? You will be only using Tosca and only on your system, and this is not recommended when you're working in a team or you're working in a company. Okay, so generally company uses multi-user workspace so that they have a um, everyone in a team who are working, right? They can come and commit the changes, they can look for the other people changes and other things. So but for our training purpose, we will create both the things, multi-user and single user both. But for now we'll be creating a single user workspace. Now coming to the, if you want to create a multi-user repository, right? So you have to use some database among this. Okay, so one thing from a Tosca itself, it is from a Tricentis itself, it has been given, that is called SQLite. So here, right, in SQLite, you can have maximum of 5 users. Okay, so if it is for a small project and you don't, your repository is not very large and you want to create only few members in a project. So if a company decide they don't have a database server, they want for a small project, so they can go for SQLite. Okay, next thing is very commonly used is MS SQL Server, where you have to, if I select this, right, you have to provide the connection string, and this will be given by your admin, and you can go ahead and click on that, and you can test connection and connect to that repository. Everything will be done in the background configuration, connection settings, and just you have to come and connect over here. But for now, I'm going to click on single user repository, and this will be created somewhere in this workspaces. You don't have to change anything over here from a C until unless your system doesn't support this particular settings, but it is recommended you keep it in C, and you have a at least 10 GB of free space in your C. Okay, so now I'll just select a name for the workspace. I'll give it as Rohit, and then you have something called use workspace template. Okay, and this is very important whenever you're creating a new workspace, right? So you're going to check mark this. So with this comes this file, okay, standard.tsu. So that is Tosca subset file. TSU stand for Tosca subset file, and this will have all your standard module, tbox module, everything. If I go ahead and create without this, right, then those modules will not be imported. So we will be using standard modules in your actual project. Also, you'll be using the module. So this is just a workspace you are creating for yourself, and if you're creating in a multi-user environment, if your repository is very large, so here, though it, since it is not very large, so I'm not using this option called create slim workspace. But if you're working in your organization, right, and your repository will be always a big one, so it is recommended that you click on and check that button slim workspace. What does it does is like, not all the artifacts, the test cases artifacts will be sync in your system. Okay, so if imagine if everything, if there are 20 people in a team, all are working, all are committing a changes, and every artifacts that you want to view, it starts showing you, uh, to load your Tosca, to open a Tosca, to make you work, right, it will take a lot of time. Okay, so it won't be faster. So you just create a slim workspace and make sure that you are only syncing those objects which is necessary for you, which is really required for you. So however, here we are having only this particular options to choose, and we'll be clicking on OK. Okay, so we're creating a new workspace, and it is importing the subset. It will be finished, and it will open automatically here. I will show one more for a multi-user workspace also. So if anybody can say me their name, Geeta. Okay. So I'll create one more workspace. So this is basically um, your view of the system. We will come to this everything, the tool overview, walkthrough of this tool, everything we will come. But I just want to show one more workspace, that how we are going to create another workspace. Okay. So let me close this workspace. And yeah, so meanwhile it is getting close, right? You should have this is system requirement suggested by Tricentis. So you should have at least i5 processor and minimum 8 GB of RAM and 10 GB free space wherever you're installing, and a good internet connectivity. Okay, so these are some general things what they have mentioned. So if you're having a Windows, this will not work in a Mac or something. If you're, it will only work in Windows
But
laptop.
Sanjay, how to install
Sorry.
this application?
Yeah. I mean, I think for that, right? Installing the application and the things, I think I told you, like you can reach out to Isha. So I can show you. I can pass on you the link how to install. But you need to have a valid license to access those system. So both Tosca and SAP, right? For this infrastructure things, you have to reach out to the Shravani or Isha. I don't know if they are still on the call over here. Yeah, they're there. So yeah, I think you can reach out to them, and they will help you to install and have a proper access. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, great. So yeah, so now I'm going to create a multi-user workspace. So for that, I don't have any other database server because this is just for a training. So I'm just going to use this SQLite, and now I have a branch to select. So already I have created something, and now I can select a name for my workspace. Okay, so I can give it workspace. Now if you see, I have something called um, create workspace template. Okay. Okay, let me click OK. So it is simple. You can create any workspaces that you want. So if you see, right, I think I forgot to give any username and password. Let me just give min login. Okay, so initially your password will be admin and admin both, if you are just using that, or you can set it to your username also and anything password you want. I can show that whenever I'm creating it for the next time, right? So when you are in a multi-user workspace over here, right, if you come, this option will be applicable for you, like update all, check in all, checkout tree. So I would say, like, if you really want to practice, right, go ahead and create a multi-user workspace, and so that you are aware of this particular options, because you will be using this in your day to day when you are working, right? So you should know that every time you come, suppose if you come here, this is showing something in a cloud. If you want to include this particular type of things, right, it should not be looking new to you when you're working in a single user workspace, right? These things will look new to you. So I would recommend everyone to go and create on a multi-user repository only, so that you make use of this team option, and you are doing check in all, check out, and check out tree, update all. From now only you understand what is this option. I'll be explaining this in more detail. Each things I'll be coming on. So but when once your tool is installed, once you are ready with the infrastructure, right, so you can go ahead. So basically, just I wanted to show that these are two different, um, how do you say, ways of creating a workspace, that is single user workspace and a multi-user workspace. And I think I've also mentioned about a system requirement in Tosca while that was coming. So this folder structure, right? I can show you once we are actually walking through the tool. And now, can anyone tell me, like, this is not related to automation, so can anyone tell me, I want to be little interactive, because from 45 minutes I'm the only one speaking, so I want now you to speak. So can anyone tell
You're
me what
doing
is,
well. Definitely, you're doing well.
sorry?
You're doing well. So, I mean, because these are all the few things we are not started the automation, right? So these are the things we are learning. So at least for me, so that's why we didn't add much questions. But you're
Mm,
you're doing well. Thank you.
thank you, Manju. Fine. Can anyone tell me, like, what are the different type of testing that you people are involved when you're working with?
Regression testing,
Functional testing, sanity testing,
smoke testing,
End-to-end testing.
security testing,
Smoke,
and performance
security,
testing.
UI
API
testing.
testing.
APIs. Okay, great. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between sanity and smoke? You
Smoke
can.
is like basic level testing, and sanity we will perform if build will be more stable. At that time, we will perform sanity.
To check stability of build, you mean to say, right?
Yes.
Build. Okay. Any other answer apart from this? At least someone can tell me which environment we do smoke, which environment we do sanity.
Smoke testing, we do it in all environments before, like basically before when the systems are patched, before the testing begins, we do the smoke testing on every environment. Sanity, we don't.
Um, Smoke testing checks the overall functionality of the software, while sanity focuses mainly on the specific fixes in the functionality or changes in the functionality.
Better answer.
Generally, the smoke testing we do in the starting phase when we get any build, we check whether the function we are getting is able, is ready to end-to-end testing. And whereas any testing we do, like in case there is some build and there is some changes in the build, so we check whether the changes in the build have affected the. We also check the previous working functionality also because of new changes that may not get affected. So that is a sanity.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All answers are okay. Okay. I am not telling that there are um, hmm, discrepancy on the answer, but I would still like to say, right? I would leave. This is a very manual question, and you are almost right. Whoever has said, right, stability of build to check the build. But I still want, please go back and have a clear difference between sanity and smoke, which environment you are testing it. So when smoke testing start, and why instead of smoke we do sanity testing, why instead of sanity we can do only smoke, if almost the meanings are same or similar, I would say. So go back, have a very clear understanding. If not, I'll definitely come back to you on this. So yes, so whatever things you have mentioned, right? Security, performance, UI, API, all this testing can be done in Tosca. So basically, in industry, right? There is one more important testing I was expecting, that is called UAT testing. There's something called business readiness check or operational readiness check, if you're aware. After UAT, it happens. So this is some more basic testing and an important phase of a testing before going right. So you have these things. So yes, when we are developing our test cases, right, when we are building our test suite, so I'll be talking about some terms like what is test suite. So test suite, test cases, or test runs. Okay, so basically your test suites will have multiple test cases and test runs. Okay, so you can something somewhere you can call as a what I can say, um, a block of test cases, or a bunch of test cases, or a test run which you want to perform in a single test suite, right? So you can go ahead and build that test suite, and then you can add your pull your all test cases and test run. So this is what I mean. So when you are building your regression suite, right, so regression test suite, when you're building it, so mainly in industry, right, in a large I'm talking about large. They do it for everything. They don't leave it for anything in the place. But generally, right, they focus on this type of. They build their test suite. They build their whole approach, right, for regression, smoke, and UAT. So you can go ahead and tell anything that you have built a test cases for a functional test cases, or but don't mention performance and security. For that you need a different tool of Tosca, Tricentis, sorry. So API, if you want to say, if you have a good knowledge about that and you are very well versed with the API, yeah, please go ahead and say that you have already worked with something. But if they ask you in general, right, what are different test suite that you have built with built in Tosca, what phases you're working for, you can say that you're working for a regression building suite, with a smoke building suite. There was UAT, any kind of deployment that is going right. So you have to relate with your project, what are you doing, what project you're working on, which phase you're working on. So I hope everybody who have worked in manual, right, they would be passing through this particular regression, smoke, UAT, pretty much. Like regression, at least in every release, then comes every after immediately after the release, we before moving to production we have smoke testing. Before putting anything on the regression, right, we have UAT. So everyone would have been going across this and try to say something. The main reason why I have asked this question is like, you are building a test suite, you are running a test cases, but in which and which for which phase of the testing. So for which phase of the testing you are building it. So you should be aware of that. um, how to build, we will see that. Now we will come, this is something a brief what I have said. I know this topic is still out of the context, but we will cover this. Now I want to know from, first of all, let me ask this question: how many of you have worked with SAP? How many? You can raise your hand. Okay, Shravan, Manju, Shoail, Nitin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. So I see few hands raised, but majority of them are not working. So I'll go from a very basic, uh, from the lowest of the lowest thing what I can go, right. So you can put your hand down. So I'll go from a very basics to basics, like, what is SAP, why it is in the market. I know some poor people already, they know something about that, but I would request their cooperation to at least please bear some time for me with this. So basically, what is SAP? Okay, so SAP stand for like system application in data processing. So it is just an, I can say it is an enterprise tool. So in a larger organization, right, so if I come apart from the abbreviation and everything, right, so in a larger organization, earlier what used to happen is they used to have So basically it is called ERP tool. Okay, so in general, if somebody asks you, right, what is SAP, so basically it is a ERP tool. So whenever you were in college, I think there was some subject related to operations, and you knew that there is something called enterprise resource planning. So you have an organization, a very big organization, and in that organization, obviously you will have supply chain. Then you will have something called finance. Then you will have something called HR, and there are various things under finance. It comes the whole lot of things, and under HR it comes the whole. So there are different sections in your enterprise thing. So earlier, what used to happen is a supply chain used to have one single software, any third party. Give me a moment. Yeah. So this used to have a different software to order a place, or to get your inventories, all those things, right? It used to have a different software to handle your finance. It used to have a different software to handle your HR, human resources things, right? Everything used to have a different thing. But when an organization grow, right, when an organization grow and they want to have some integrity between each thing, so what are you taking should is having direct impact with the finance. So everything, I would say, like none of the models nowadays are independent. Everything has a dependency on each other. So this particular things, right, this supply chain, finance, HR, this we call modules. Tosca modules are different. Don't get confused with Tosca module. Tosca modules is this. If you see here, these are your Tosca modules. You're identifying the element. So this is something different. But here in SAP, this module means one business area. Okay, you can say. So we had something different, this thing. And just to run on this, right, we have other softwares also in the market. You if you would have heard about Oracle, PeopleSoft. Okay, so there are some softwares, and then comes the SAP. Okay, so in ERP, SAP has the largest share in the industry, around roughly around 60%. I would say more than that. Uh, Nowadays, all companies are growing, and to handle a large amount of data and efficiently, right? Again, SAP, to maintain SAP, right? It's a very costly things in the market. So but also company go for it because they have it can handle large amount of data. It has better integrity between different operations of the business. So all these things are there. So having said that, right, so we'll be focusing mainly on supply chain. So we will be seeing how a sales and distribution happen. Okay, so I'll be explaining this maybe in the next session if I don't have time today. But we will be seeing how a sales and distribution happens. So I'll be walking through a story, how a customer place an order, how it is received, all those thought process, right, how it happens. So I'll be sharing that with you. And then we'll also be seeing how a material management is done. Okay, so this is again this two topics, right? If these two models, if you go in industry, just to learn this itself is an ocean. To deep dive into this, to configure this, all these things we are not going to do. All will be done by a SAP consultant who are working already in the market. uh, there'll be um, there'll be a consultant role in SAP. So again, if you talk to me about an SAP role, right, in industry, so there is an end user role. So who is the end user of this particular SAP software? They'll be using it day to day business, they will be using. Then there is something called super user, who will have something like an admin access, or any something some more privileged access. Then there will be a SAP tester role in the market, manual tester role. And there's a huge opportunity. I'm saying, like, you're learning at Tosca, but you're also knowing about this whole things, right? Nowadays, if you're knowing 2 3 modules, right, like warehouse management module is there, supply chain module is there, finance is there. If you know at least 2 3 different modules, right, there's a huge salary for even a manual tester also. Somewhere they are matching the automation tester nowadays because the kind of skill they are having, right? It is having a very huge demand for SAP tester. Then there is something called SAP consultant or a developer slash, I would say, functional developer are there. There are technical developer. Everything is there. Again, if people who are a consultant or a functional developer, right? It's nothing to do with the coding or something. They have a functional knowledge, but there is again a coding part also comes in SAP. For that also there is a different role. So again, it's a very big industry. That is what I wanted to say, and it has a wide opportunities. So you can, people who are already working in SAP, the four people who raised hand, they might be knowing, they can feel the heat of that particular. So just if I talk about the opportunity only in SAP, right, it is a huge. And now you know SAP and you know Tosca, it's a cherry, okay, on top of your ice cream. Like you are having, you are bringing something extraordinary thing on a table in the market, that you are already aware of something. This, you are aware of an automation, you're aware of a manual engineering, manual testing. So I mean, see the amount of things that you're carrying and you're bringing in your resume and going going to a job market. Obviously you will find a job. There is no stepping back with that. So so similarly, right, like how if you have been testing anything in your any web application also you're testing, right, you will have three different environment, right? You will have a, I will call it as a D environment, that is called development, and then I will give it as Q environment, that is quality, and then there's called P environment, it is called production. So similarly, uh, I hope everybody know, right, in development all codings and other stuff happen, configuration, coding, whatever you have. In quality, the environment where you test your system. Production is the environment where you perform a smoke testing, or it is mainly with the user. You don't create any transactions, anything on this production environment. It is for the end user. You, if you want to do any smoke testing on your production, then you will have a limited access to your user ID and all those things comes. But mainly we will be, as a tester, we will be playing in D or Q, somewhere, some places not even D, only in the Q environment. Or there'll be one more system addition to this, like something called pre-prod, or you can have a higher version, just a replica of your production, or else something like a UAT environment. So this particular, this is a different environment that you will be having when you are going in an actual industry, right, and when you are using an SAP environment. So when you have to raise an access for an SAP, or somebody asks you like, which environment have you tested the regression, so you have to say in Q environment. So mm, like it's same thing like to your web application, but I just wanted to say that in SAP also, right, we follow a similar approach. So here in SAP, maybe for development, we have something called client, okay. So for development it can be like 100, for quality it can be like 200, for production it can be like 300, okay. So 300 means like the client what you're using, or the system what you're using is a production environment, and quality what you're using is this environment. I'll show you when we log into SAP, when we deep dive much into SAP, right, I will show you, but I think we're running already out of time. So I would like to stop here. Too much of knowledge I don't want to give in a single session, because the below one, so sorry, the below one what you see, right, it require, I don't want to rush, I want to go very slowly, and so that you also digest some of the knowledge what I'm giving. These are the very beginning things, like building blocks. Some of you might be knowing, aware of all these things. It can sound you like a broken record, but when some of you who are just from a from a very beginning, right? They want to build your career and they want to understand, like, in an industry what roles are there, how even small things which you are aware, right? So that it doesn't feel new to you when you're working with your colleagues, right? It doesn't feel new to you. So I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll pause the recording also.